Hello, Wendy. How are you?
Hello, Felicia. I am very well, thank you. How are you today?
I'm very well today, and thank you so much for accepting to have this conversation with us. Such a discussion, an informal discussion about my mood stars. And
I'm delighted to be here.
I will introduce myself to the public. I am Feliciea Jibson. I'm the managing director at Felser Limited. We have an online profiling tool called PAGS. PAGS is profile assessment and goal setting. Our online platform is a place where parents and professionals can meet, collaborate, and support neurodiverse children. So we help parents and professionals, educators, assess, to plan, and to track the progress of their children. PAGS works with autism, ADHD, global developmental delay, dyslexia, mild and moderate learning difficulties, with diagnosis, with all diagnosis, and undiagnosed people. Wendy, I'm so grateful that you accepted to have this conversation with us because I absolutely love your product.
Thank you.
I'll come later on why I love so much non-screen based activities. But to start with is tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you come to My Mood Stars?
Well, Felicia, I was a childminder for 22 years. And during that time, childminders became under the same umbrella as nursery schools and what you might call proper educators. So we became teachers and we had areas of learning that we had to, by law, implement and evidence when Ofsted came to call. So we were fine with most of the areas of learning, but there was one, personal, social and emotional development, PSED, where we struggled to find a resource that was going to help us implement PSED to our childminding children. So I set about making my own resource. I found some felt and I chose the shape of a star and I sewed different emotions onto the stars and I sent those off to childminders so that they could put them in story sacks or just play games with the children to encourage children to talk about their feelings. They were then used to implement the area of learning, and when Ofsted came, they could show their Ofsted inspector how they were using the mood stars to develop the children's personal, social and emotional development. And then after that, then when I was inspected by my Ofsted inspector, he said that there's a big market for a product, a resource like this. And so a couple of years later, I thought, right, well, I've got nothing to lose. I will market them. And hey, presto, 3 years later, they're doing extremely well.
Excellent, Wendy. And I'm so delighted that you share your personal story with you. And as a family, you just told me that you have a family of 3 adults and you have a cat and you have a sister.
Yes, that's right. I have a sister who lives in Phoenix and I've missed seeing her this year because even though we're in our early 60s, we love to hike, we love to climb, and we love to be outside, walk, and just take in all the wonderful views of the Nevada mountains. And it's been a big hole in my heart this year that I haven't been able to see my sister. But every cloud has a silver lining. And because of lockdown, I've been able to spend more time with my husband and my adult children. So it's not all bad, Felicia.
Yes, it's absolutely. And plus that you've been able to help other parents and other professionals to get to know more about mood stars, no?
Well, this is the thing. In lockdown, children have needed this resource more than ever because they're confused, they're angry, they're frustrated, they don't know what's going on. They have a lot of big emotions at the moment, and my mood stars have really helped. I've had so many wonderful testimonials and reviews.
Well, we are very delighted to hear about this. And for the audience now, you just explain how do you come. What is the concept of your product? So, what is actually just a little bit of an explanation for them to see from the photo, and how it can be used at home and in the school?
All right. Well, my mood stars are the only resource I know of that are tactile, very sensory. They're plush, hand-sized stars that children love to hold. Not only that, but the mood stars, their expressions are non-gender, age, or cultural specific. So there's no distraction there of whether it's male or female or an old man or a young boy. Just the stars expressions help the children resonate with the emotions. The mood stars can be used in circle time for children, maybe just the first time that day or the only time that day, to actually think about how they're feeling and to be able to explain how they're feeling by looking at the expressions on the stars' faces. Because I wanted there to be at least one time a day when children are asked, how do you feel? Also, I wanted the mood stars to be able to help children not just recognize their own emotions, but to recognize other children's emotions, so they might be able to see when a school friend is struggling. So that's the concept behind them.
That's a really very interesting conversation to have around recognizing emotions in children, in themselves, in the other.
I think when children can recognize and label emotions, they're stronger and more self-confident, and it builds their resilience as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's another reason that I feel that children, that recognizing their emotions is very important for children. It makes them more self-confident, it makes them more curious learners, and it makes them happier people.
Yes, and in our platform, we have a big module dedicated to self-regulation. And the self-regulation is looking at adaptability of behavior and recognizing emotions. And we listed the My Mood Stars in there because it's a fantastic resource for the parent to sit down and to have this conversation about how they feel, for the child to identify, okay, I'm feeling like this, and then to start identifying in others, they feel like that. And is for early years, for Key Stage 1, for Key Stage 2, is such an important resource to have. Because I remember when I was teaching that we use stickers, but I think it's more appropriate in early years or in Key Stage 1 to use that this type of resource, because it's actually is tactile, as you said, and then invites of that sensory, that tactile thing that sends as well an information to the brain.
Yes, yes, I totally agree. And that was one of the reasons behind them. I think that when the children are using the mood stars, it's lovely to watch, because as they're stroking the stars, which are very plush, as they're stroking the stars, they seem to be able to evoke more feeling, and they seem to be able to express how they're feeling even more. It's a kind of like a comforting thing, I think.
It is, and then from the sensory perception point of view, is that effect of calmness, because it's a tactile information, and tactile, the brain also learns. So you have an inspirational model, and who is your inspirational model? We had a discussion before. I would like the audience to know a little bit more about.
Do you recognize him, Felicia?
I do recognize him, and I came across with your tweets on the Twitter, and I said, "Oh my God, I really want to speak to that lady." And here today, sitting down and talking about.
Of course, this is Theo Paphitis, who is one of the dragons on Dragon's Den.
Mhm.
He's such a lovely gentleman, and he organizes an award ceremony on his Twitter page, and it's called Small Business Sunday. And small businesses are invited to tweet to Theo about their businesses and why he should retweet our business proposal to all of his millions and millions of followers. So I was on this religiously every Sunday for about 6 months. And at times I thought, oh, what am I doing? He's not going to see my tweet. And then one Monday evening, when he chooses 6 of the small businesses, my phone went berserk. And I thought, what is that? Who's calling me? Who's tweeting me? And it was Theo saying that I had won with 5 others that Sunday, Small Business Sunday. And I was so delighted. And I was so delighted to be at the award ceremony because it was just pre-COVID. It was February the 19th. And there was hand sanitizers, no masks, no social distancing, but just hand sanitizers. And we didn't know then what was to face us in the following months.
Absolutely. And then looking back now, you made history, so
yes,
COVID photo,
yes,
post-COVID photos.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes, absolutely. So I think congratulations for that. As I said, I texted myself. We are a startup. We have been to international congresses, 12 international congress in Nice, 12 Autism International Congress, for people to know what congress was that.
Right.
And the point is that we had the liberty in the past to move and to do a lot of other things, whilst we have to do more things online, and then to organize virtual congresses online, to organize webinars. So, but the point I'm making is I was watching and started the text as seeing your tweet, and it was so inspirational. And I said, I'm going to do that. So as a startup, you look to all innovative ideas and what other people did. And you have a fantastic product, and I absolutely adore it. And I recommend it highly to all professionals that are working in this field of special needs or other neurological conditions that we just listed before. And to buy it and to have it, because that actually links very well with how can we teach children to recognize their emotion? Is that creating that atmosphere in your perspective and your work in the early years in a childminder? Why is that? How do we do this? And why is that important to do, to teach recognizing emotions?
I think it's important because without having a label or a word to express how they feel, children have this it could be anywhere. They could feel some discomfort in their stomach, chest, legs. You just don't know where it is, in their shoulders, in their neck. But when they've got a word that they can use, it's a relief for them. They think, oh, I know what this is. I'm frustrated, I'm angry. And it's for us as adults to come to the child and say, yes, we get it. We get why you're angry. Your brother broke your truck. If somebody broke something of mine, I would feel angry. And another thing, just while I'm on the subject of anger and being sad, is to let your child cry. Let your child sob it out, sob it out, sob it out, because with that crying brings up an awful lot of gunk, for a better word, a lot of rubbish and stuff that they just need to get rid of. So I've always said to my children and my childminding children, cry, 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 cry. And I've just waited until their very last sob. And I think it's just so therapeutic, rather than say, oh, right, that's enough. Come on, dry your eyes. Go, go and play. It leaves residual emotion and stuff lying in that same place where they feel things. So I think it's really important to and not just let them cry, but when children are overexcited, as long as they're not in any danger, and you kind of like do a quick risk assessment, if they're excited and they're doing crazy dances and they're not going to hurt themselves or anyone else, let them do it. Let them make noise. Let them scream and shout, because again, that is expelling stuff, for a better word, that they have inside them and they need to release. They need to release it. So again, it was never, all right, that's enough, be quiet. Sometimes it was, look, if you want to make that much noise, go out into the garden and make that much noise. But it's let children feel their emotions, let children have their emotions, let children learn about their emotions. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and I back this out with research. And research said, if we look at the child development, we have to start, before we correct any behavior, we have to understand that every behavior will have a communicative function. So before we start saying this is a good behavior, bad behavior, we have to start with recognizing, can the child recognize their own emotions? And then can the child then recognize emotions in others? And then start to teach about that's the good behavior, bad behavior. So often, as an educator, we look at immediately to correct things, but I think we have to go more in depth and to understand where the child is and take it from there, and then help them, give them the strategies to communicate how they feel, and engaging them in conversation, or in conversation that they can express how they feel. Circle time, for instance, I remember in our school day, how do we feel? How the child feels, how the staff feels. It's so important. At the end of the day, asking them back again, how do you feel? How do you feel that you achieved? In the morning, you may be tired, but now you are excited that you're going home, or you have learned something.
Yes.
Very important. And I feel that our society, we want to build, and looking at the bigger picture, we want to build in our children a resilience, and to build resilience. And we look at the mental health and all those issues that COVID brought up, and how many children they've been exposed to doing this and doing that, and how many families have struggled to provide the best in terms of education, internet connections, and all that stuff. So COVID actually accelerated this to show us that we have to find solution. We have to think of the blended learning. We have to think of other technologies to do and to incorporate in the education, and to make this education an education for the 21st century, where children are equipped. So the children today are equipped with skills, with critical thinking, with emotional resilience, with adaptability, flexibility, and then being prepared, for instance, to change jobs as often as is necessary. So research says that in 10 years, there would be a change in jobs for the employees at least 10 to 15 times, which means that you will have to have this flexibility of going to one place to another, being able to communicate, being able to work in a team, and all that stuff. So all starts with the beginning. If we look at the core traits and skills that we have to develop, this is what we have to tackle first. And your resource just goes there. So
yeah. Yes, well, I'm pleased you think it does, because that's the objective of my mood stars. That's what I want them to do. I want boys especially to be more open about their emotional feelings and how they feel. And I think sharing the mood stars with your child in the I have an activity sheet that you can download with the mood stars. And one of the activities is sharing the emotions, because I think it's important that children know that we have emotions too. And that we can say, oh, mum is sad today because she didn't get the client that she wanted, but I know that something's going to turn up, next week. And so I think that that's good that, adults, we can be role models for our children and let them know that, everybody has emotions.
Yes. And what would be your best advice for parents, Wendy?
My best advice for parents is children grow and develop at their own rate, their own pace, and in their own way. Every child is unique. So I think that if you have other children, your children have siblings, not to compare them. They're going to be different. I have twins. They're like night and day. So all children are different. I mean, it goes without saying, my thing is giving your children love, security, attention, and a sense of belonging. I mean, that will make your child grow up into a secure, self-confident and happy adult. And just don't sweat the small stuff. Just love your child.
Absolutely. Yes, very important. And can the holistic assessment be useful in this context? I mean, as parents, are we aware of our children's strengths and then area? Do you think that, in your opinion, can a holistic assessment be useful?
Oh, absolutely. I can't think of it another way. It has to be a holistic assessment with no tick box mentality, no stereotyping, autism, no stereotyping ADHD, but just looking at the child in a holistic way, looking at the whole child and looking at the child as a totally unique individual. And from my understanding of PAGS, this is exactly what is done. This is why I think it's an amazing platform. Yeah, I think it's wonderful what you've done, Felicia.
What we've done as a group of professionals, because looking into their strengths and how actually bringing them from there, where are the core strengths, core skills and traits that are so important. So building that foundation and building on and on and on that foundation. Plus that PAGS offer also a roadmap of where to go. So is planning to go forward and also to celebrate those achievements. And very importantly is that we not only identify which area would need to be developed, we also make some recommendation and exercises of how these steps can be achieved, how these skills can be developed. And PAGS will empower parents actually to take control of their child learning. And when you say
Yes.
labeling things, they give them a vocabulary to express of my child is having such problem with executive skills, where my has some, is that very simple, because we put we took the academic jargon and we made it into an explicit way, into a less how would I say, is professional, but at the same time is very easy to explain what it is and how to pinpoint. If there is a diagnosis, is another diagnosis. If there is not the diagnosis, that will be undiagnosed. So PAGS can help the parents to screen the child in a very affordable way, fast,
Yes.
not waiting months and months for a referral to be made. We know how professionals, they're overly booked and overly
Yes.
and this area. So in your opinion, can PAGS help children in their emotional development? So
Oh, definitely it can, because as you say, it's a roadmap, and I think one of the very first stops on that roadmap is to what's the word? Is to understand where that child is with his or her emotional resilience, to understand where they are at that time. Because once you know where your child is emotionally, it's easier then to signpost them to the next step. And I love the way you take the jargon out of all the information. It makes it for such easy and understandable information. Certainly for somebody like me, I don't like jargon, I don't understand it. But yes, I think that PAGS can help children in their emotional development 100%. What's your view, Felicia?
well, our view is that the PAGS is a digital tool that will help the child, will support child's learning and development, and will stay with the child as long as it needed. Plus is a communication platform, so the same information can be shared with all professionals involved working with the child. So we often have, like Dr. Kwan, a clinical psychologist from Belgium, she was saying, we often have the child is surrounded by different professionals, and professionals are working with different targets. What actually PAGS brings everyone together is the same profile, is the same child. So it's quite hard for a parent, I understand, and I will never forget those, one of the parents were having some balloons. It was an exercise of saying that when you have a child, then you have to learn about a child with special needs, and you have to learn about this condition, about this condition, about that, and then they are overload. I am absolutely totally 100% for a parent who has to deal with this, because it's not an easy life.
No.
Not an easy life. It will never been easy. It's a constant work that you have to do. It's a constant work. And my years of experience, 17 years of experience in education, taught me so many things about the parents, about the child, and then how to actually to get into depth to help the child what it is, to make them understand that they can do more, to make them believe in their skills and their capacity, and give them the tools how to navigate this neurotypical society. Our society is not made for, but who, we have to give them the strategies, the coping strategies of how to navigate this society. So PAGS is a fantastic tool, and I will keep going because it's our platform. But not only that, it's not monetizing a disability. It's a fact is actually will save a lot of money in the long term, because stays with the child, monitors the child's progress, can accelerate the progress based on recommendation exercises that can be done, and improves is actually progress that has been made, or regress if it's done. And to all audience, we're saying if they want to find more information, they can book a demo with us. If they visit our website, which is www.pagsprofile.com, PAGSprofile.com, and then book a demo with us. We also have a portal for parents and professionals, as professionals, if they would like to work with us, to be enlisting on this portal, and for parents, if they need any help, they could actually access those highly skilled professionals to get support from them. And if they wish to find more information about your mood stars, there is a website, www.wendywu.co.uk, sorry, not .com. And then you have an email in there that we share with the audience. And how else they can reach you, Wendy? You are present on all media, no?
Yes. I am on Twitter, which is My Mood Stars, at My Mood Stars. I'm on Instagram, which is at My Mood Stars 41. And I'm on Facebook under My Mood Stars. There's lots of ways that people can get in touch with me. They can get in touch with me as well through the website. There's another website, which is www.mymoodstars.co.uk. So yeah, plenty of ways to get in touch with me. I'm also on LinkedIn under Wendy White. Any questions about my mood stars and how they work and the concept behind them, I would love to and be happy to answer any questions.
Wendy, thank you ever so much for this interview. We are going to post this interview, like professional discussion, on our YouTube channels at PAGSprofile YouTube channel. So please check for this channel and subscribe. And then for now, I'm wishing you a superb day, and thank you ever so much. We may continue this discussion in 2 months' time to update our audience where we are and what we do.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you, Felicia.